Welcome to Wealth, Wisdom, and Whatever, the iMoney podcast, where we talk about money, finance, and anything else under the sun. Today, we are going to ask the burning question, EPF Account 3. What's it good for? And should you be withdrawing money from it? We are joined again by our two friends, OyMoon and Siew Chin, who have combined 30 years as certified financial planners. Hi, OyMoon, Siew Chin.
Hi, Farhan.
It's good to have you back. So, let's just get into it because I'm sure we have a lot to say about this. So, EPF Account 3 was implemented recently to allow people to have flexible withdrawals from their EPF. Maybe you can set the stage in that. Why is this necessary?
Probably I can take this question. I think first thing first, we got to look at the overall importance of why the government has stepped up to have Account 3. Recently, there has been a lot talked about government having to help the lesser income people, those that has been affected by the COVID and everything, losing their jobs. And also what the government is stepping up to do right now is that they want to make sure that they also have enough of cash flows to go by, their daily lives. So it is actually to meet current life cycle needs of the people. And one thing also is that there has been a lot of withdrawal since COVID till now. So the government also are aware that the retirement funding for the people is affected. So what they have done is that, I think that the structure before May 11 is that your contribution goes to account 1, which is 70%, and account 2, which is 30% contribution there. So account 1 is actually for your retirement benefit, and account 2 is mainly for maybe medical, to fund for their housing requirement next time, or maybe for their children's education in future. So but right now, what the government has done is that they have ramped up a little bit into account 1, which is account persaraan, account 2, account sejahtera, account 3, which is account flexible. Very long, canggih, sexy names they have, yeah. But I think I'll call it account 1, 2, and 3. So right now, account 1, they have ramped up for account persaraan to 75% of their contribution goes there. Account 2, they have allocated 15%, and account 3, 10%. Okay. Then,
so account 1 is the portion of your EPF that you cannot touch at all until you retire.
Yes, you cannot touch at all.
So they've increased your allocation to this amount.
Okay. They've increased that part. So that kind of helps to up a little bit on the people's retirement savings for future. Yeah.
So people are saying that you really shouldn't be allowing this because allowing people to withdraw their retirement funds so easily kind of defeats the purpose of having the EPF in the first place. What do you think about that?
Personally, I feel that for the government to meet the current people's life cycle needs, they need to do that. For me, personally, my opinion is that I would not want to touch it because this is actually for your retirement.
From what we understand, EPF has already released some numbers. It's over 3 million withdrawal applications already. So clearly there are people who think they need it now?
Yes, you're right. Actually, this 3 million application basically has already comes to about 8.8 billion money from the account sejahtera has transferred to the account flexible. And on the other hand, among this 8.8 billion, actually 5.52 billion worth of money is already in process of withdrawal. So yes and no, I would say yes. At one hand, we are looking at to helping the people, but on the other hand, we're supposed to understand that the main objective of what is EPF. Long time ago we set up EPF. That's actually for the purpose of forced saving method. I would say to a certain extent we force people to build up their retirement fund. Right now we go through the statistics, we know about 35% of the people when they come to 55 years old, they have below 10,000 kind of saving. So what will happen if all these people, who are they going to be depending to? The countries, their children. So eventually that will be a big issue to the country.
I see. But then there's the flip side. It's saying that retirement is nice, but I need to survive to retire eventually. Yeah.
Personally, I think this will be a very big challenge for the fund managers to maintain at the equivalent rate of return with this liquidity status lah. So imagine right now, not imagine, actually in the fact that EPF have a total fund of 1.1 trillion right now, and with just now the statistic we mentioned, 8.8 billion have to be parked at the account tree, the account flexible. So it's almost about 8%, 8 to 9% kind of situation, which is this group of money, this chunk of money is anytime ready to be liquid. So that will be a challenge for the fund managers to maneuver the portfolio in this case.
So you're saying that the existence of EPF Account 3 will actually make it more difficult for the account managers to deliver the dividends that they have been delivering until now?
I won't say not possible, but it will be a challenge for them. At this moment, EPF is still confident that they can deliver this same rate of return to everyone. That's a good news anyway.
Okay, so we're going to hope for the best that they can keep delivering.
Yeah.
They haven't let us down yet.
In fact, I think there has been talks about the option of those who thinks that they don't need account 3 can actually transfer their balance to account 1 and 2. They've been talking about it, so we now wait for EPF to announce that stance. So there is an option for those who don't need and those who need account 3 balance. I think EPF is hearing what the people are talking about, so they are doing something about it. Yeah.
But this is unconfirmed. Speaking of withdrawing from account 3, you mentioned this earlier. There's this group of people that say just withdraw as much as you can and then invest it in high returns. Is this a good idea?
By calculation, this concept is not wrong. For example, if EPF is actually giving a 6% compounding for 10 years, versus if you have another way to make more money out of it through investments that probably can yield you 8 to 10% compounding interest, I think the difference can be really big, and you can see a lot of more returns if you act on it. But the challenge wants knowledge on investment and the discipline to keep it invested, and the awareness.
The most important thing is the scam investment scheme.
That's actually one of the biggest concerns for a lot of people is now that you have a lot of this liquidity, people are withdrawing. There's going to be more scams trying to take advantage of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Precisely, yeah.
So the financial literacy of how to identify a genuine investment scheme, a legitimate genuine investment scheme, and as well as how to differentiate with the scam investment scheme.
But the people who tend to already have the knowledge for investing and the discipline to stay invested, would they really need the account 3 to keep investing? They will probably already invested.
I would say for an individual who is in control of their own investments and they know where to invest to get the yields that they want, personally I feel they will definitely take it out to yield higher for their own retirement funding.
I've also heard some people considering treating their account 3 as a high yield savings account instead. So instead of investment, just put all your money in there, and if you need it, it's waiting for you.
Very interesting.
Yeah, have you heard about this?
High yield
return arrangement.
Basically, it's a high return savings account.
High return saving account.
It's better returns than FD, right?
Exactly, you are right. Yeah.
You're right.
So I've heard of people say you should maybe think of it this way instead. Well, do you have any opinion on that?
Which again, we have to back to the original questions that we were discussing about, which is what's the purpose of EPF? The purpose of EPF is actually for your retirement purpose. You can put it as a high yield saving account, but that if you still treat it as anytime you want to use this, your so-called saving account, then it defeats the purpose of EPF, right?
That's true. So we're talking so far about people, who don't need EPF 3. They already have knowledge of investments. But what about the lower income groups? Do you think that this solution helps them?
I would say it would help them. Number one, if it is an emergency, you really need it for medical purposes, or you need to really pay your debts. When you plan for your retirement, you try not to have so much of debts. Having so much of debts burdening you, I would say such a country will help. Otherwise, if they do not have any more recourse to anywhere that they can get funding, a country would be their, I would say, flexible or emergency account. But as much as possible as an individual, like what Moon say here, this is your retirement account. If you really, really don't need to touch it, don't. Unless life and death. You really need it for medical purposes. And number two, you have so much of debts. Like right now, there could be some individuals, for example, ramping up their credit card. And what's the credit card interest rate like at the moment? 18% per annum. So if you can reduce this 18% with this account tree, as a financial planner, I think I would do that to help this individual. How about you, Moon?
Let's go back a little bit more detail of your question, Farhan. You were talking about the low income people. I agree that this account flexible can be a short-term temporary solution for this group of people, but in long term, we have to see at the macro level why these people are at lower income. Yeah, so that will be another strategies that how to help this group of people to increase their income rather than just feeding them with whatever temporary solutions.
Wouldn't it have made more sense to reduce the minimum EPF contribution instead?
That's an interesting question. If that is done, to my opinion, then the government will have problems, people retiring, because then there won't be enough. I think that's the balance that we need to have in doing that, which is one of the reasons why they ramp up the account one, which is account persaraan, to 70, just to also make sure the people have enough to retire. But if your question there says to minimize, to reduce, then it comes to the fact that it will not help the government to help the people to have enough for their retirement. So I guess at the end of the day, it's balancing the people's needs and the people that are on their pathway towards accumulating for their retirements. I think what the government did this round, is to help balance this up. There's this group of people that really need the money, but there's this group of people that is okay, that they don't really need to touch, but keep accumulating more. I think for what they're doing right now is to take care of the short-term needs of the people for the moment. And also reducing the minimum to a minimum level will not help in terms of retirement for them,
Actually, if we compare our neighboring country in the south, our forced contribution is much more lower already. Yeah, in this case, I mean, contribution to CPF in their country is very high. From financial point of view, I would say reduce the minimum contribution can only be a short-term solution.
Okay.
I still agree with what Siew Chin mentioned just now.
I would say that that's one of the main reasons why EPF also allow their members to also use the accumulation in account one to accelerate some of their investments through approved unit trust schemes.
So basically, you don't have to withdraw your money from account three to invest. All this while, you could already invest it.
Yes, that's right. From account one.
Account one being the majority of your EPF account, you have more funds available to invest it, wouldn't you?
Yes, that's right.
Do either of you remember what this EPF investment scheme is called?
EPF MIS.
Members Investment Scheme.
Members.
So you've been advising people to do this for a long time, yeah?
We have. This is one of the solutions that we give for our clients.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of returns your clients are seeing?
At this point of time, we are looking at about 8 to 10%. Some of our clients, they feel that between 6 to 8%, the 2% difference is very small in terms of percentage. But you look at it on a long-term basis, the compounding effect makes a lot of difference.
How would someone go into this? Yes.
There are two methods that they can actually go into this investment scheme. First thing first, they can actually log into EPF website to do it by themselves. And that method, they may need to really understand what are all the funds, what are they need to do their own research lah, to a certain extent, I would say it. Yeah, the other method is actually they can also engage an advisor from any licensed investment companies, which
Like the
is
two of you.
we are also one of them. We are people like us which able to carry these products to the public. It will be the people which is they have passed the exam under the getting a license to be a unit trust advisor. Then only we can do the advisory in this area lah. So in that way, then the EPF members may save a lot of time of doing their own research, because that will be the job of the advisor lah.
Because if you go through the portal which EPF have set up for the members, you will see many unit trust funds approved by EPF, which can ramp up to about 300 to 500 different funds available. So if you don't know where to go to, our experience is that we have clients that's been doing on their own versus we doing for them. They found eventually that it's always better to talk to the advisors because they know best. There has been also lots of withdrawals for members that have gone into unit trust investments on their own and they don't know what's happening. They took it out and put it back into their EPF because they don't really know what to do. It will be a challenge.
And it's the same thing with if you want to withdraw from a country, you've got to do it on your own. It's better to find an advisor to help, right?
Yes, correct.
How many people do you know personally that have withdrawn from a country?
Then we have to depends on the reports.
But do you personally know anyone?
Personally, I think I came across one young adult which he said he want to withdraw and then he want to buy a new phone. But after I have a conversation with him, he changed his mind because I told him that how much is your iPhone Pro right now? He said it's 5,999. Then I get him to surf the net and find what is the model of 8 years ago, which is like 5 years ago, which is an iPhone 11, and how much it costs right now. Then it's actually less than 1,000. So then after this short conversation, then he said, okay, I decide not to touch.
Yeah, in fact, OyMoon and I, we've been joined force approaching companies who would like to know more about the potential effects of a country, what to do with it, and how do we move on towards planning a better retirement. Yeah, we are actually going around speaking to companies with employees that would like to know more about this. It's like a employee enrichment session for them. The last 2 sessions that we did, I was quite surprised. Some of them don't know about a country yet. They kind of like, yeah, I know about it, but I don't know what it's for. So we are here actually to spread out as much information as possible.
Thank you so much, OyMoon and Siew Chin. So if anybody wants to reach out to you for financial advice, how can they find you?
Most easy way is actually go through our LinkedIn.
Your
Yeah,
LinkedIn?
go through our LinkedIn.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll link it in the description below. If anybody's interested, just give them a click, send them a message.
Thank you, Farhan.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Farhan, for the session today.
Okay, so thank you all for coming here and giving us this insights about EPF country. And thank you all for listening. So if you're interested in more content like this, stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.